Look, this was a great one for a lot of different reasons, AB, and we sit here and we get to highlight some studs for what they delivered down there in South Florida. Kick us off with your first stud from the Patriots' 33-27 victory over the Miami Dolphins.
I'll give overall flowers to Coach Vrabel for his first win as the New England Patriot head coach. I think there's so much hard work that goes into that, and really, there's a huge identity that this team has already built for him, but for him to be able to get it done week 2 against the Dolphins in Miami, I think that was great. But I think my first flowers has to go to Drake Maye. Spectacular showing, just was in command, decisive, and it was fun to watch. He had some beautiful throws like you and I were talking about. 2 touchdowns, ran, had one himself and outran Matthew Judon. So I thought that was awesome and just really showing his poise and maturity too from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I will give him a check mark in the column as well, because I really thought that, Josh McDaniels said so much going into the week, look, we're looking for precision. We're not looking for perfect. And this is his first year in this system, and, really tried to preach patience. I think for his quarterback to be like, he has this ability and we're going to see this from him, but slow your roll a little bit, on the criticism for Drake Maye. And look, he didn't have a good week for week 1, but I think what he did is he put in a good week of practice after the loss to the Raiders. And he went out there and he righted a lot of the things that we saw him struggle with in that week 1 loss to the Raiders. There were no ball security issues that you were kind of like, there was none of that in this game. The one time where the ball, was mis-snapped, as you pointed out, he just ran back, he fell on it, he made sure he covered it, and they picked up and they moved on. He got off to a strong start in this game, which was something that we didn't see against the Raiders. Scoring on their first 3 possessions, finding different ways to move the ball down the field. I thought the balance of the attack was really it was pleasant to see. It was fun to watch, to see Rhamondre get involved as he did, and the different ways in which they used different receivers in this game, and the different ways in which they used Drake himself, on some of the design run plays. So look, I mean, kudos to Drake Maye, I think, for just going out there, and it all looked like it slowed down to him a little bit from week 1 to week 2 as I sat there and watched this one. All right, who else you got some flowers for, AB?
I got our guy. We mentioned him earlier in the first segment, but Antonio Gibson, play of the game. You can't not give it to him. I mean, if I had checked my Apple Watch on that, my heart rate was probably really high. I don't know. They were going to check on me during that, right? There was somebody in a different room from me. They're like, what's going on? What's wrong? But that was awesome. Yeah. It's exactly what the team needed in that moment. His jump into the end zone. I always wonder, when players do that, dive into the end zone, you got to fall. You hit the ground at some point. Are you already taking enough hits? So you got to have a lot of juice on you and just so much excitement that you don't really feel the fall, but you got to be a good, break the fall. So that was fun to watch, but the Patriots also used him a lot in the first quarter. And so I just thought from his production, from running the ball to the kickoff return, it was an awesome showing for him.
Yeah, I agree. At what point are you like, oh, there's a mat, and I'm just going to practice what my end zone flip would be? I mean,
you got to do it at some point for the first time. At one point, it's your first time doing it, right? So, I don't know. It's concerning. Also, if you mess up, that is such a bad look, right? You can't mess up a touchdown celebration.
Yeah, or the times that we've seen them get into a touchdown celebration and then they drop the ball at the half-yard line and it's actually not a touchdown.
Secondhand embarrassment. I've for some reason, those are the plays where I feel like I did it and I have nothing to do with it. But those plays haunt me, and I'm not even involved, but they haunt me because they're real. You're I can't believe that, whatever. So totally kind of a different situation here, but no, the touchdown celebration things are real, and it always makes you wonder, how are you doing that?
Yeah, no, 100%. I always have the same thought with the Lambeau leap, like watching the Packers when they like leap up. I'm like, do you wonder if they're actually going to be able to hold you? Like, is there like a second where you're like,
Well, you saw
did I wanna
Jared
do
Goff
this?
tried to do that. Jared Goff tried to do that in his own game over the weekend, and he drastically failed. So clearly, it's a lot harder than it looks, regardless of whether you're in Lambeau or not. But
Yeah.
I would definitely want to be practicing that before I did it.
Yeah, right. I feel that. I totally feel that. All right. Antonio Gibson earns my award as well for all the same reasons. I mean, to go out there and say to yourself, all right, I got to make a play here. I got to make a play here, after the punt return touchdown, and then to deliver it. Yeah, I mean, huge momentum swing for the game, and huge for him. Just to give yourself that belief. Like, I said, I'm going to do it, and then find a way to actually go out there and do it. All right. Last but not least, who else you got some flowers for?
I'm going to go to the defense and give it to Milton Williams. It's what Vrabel brought him in here to do, be the leader of this team, show up in big-time moments, and that's what he did. He got the sack, and it was awesome. It sealed the game, right? It really did.
Yeah.
And I think in early in the season, you as leaders, you kind of got to show your team, like, hey, somebody's got to step up, and I'm going to do it, and that's exactly what Milton Williams did.
Yeah. I'm going to go Rhamondre Stevenson with this one. I just thought that he crushed it. He went out there. He had such a big game for this offense. Like I said, racked up 142 total yards. I loved after the game, he was asked about his dad, who, of course, passed away over the summer. And they had such a tight relationship. And, and he was just like, I think Pops really would have loved this game. And just that moment, right? Like, I think those are always really significant. Because these players are all people, and to see him just be able to share that game and the way he played and the way the Patriots won, in a different way, have his dad be part of it, I thought was really special. I got to give an honorable mention here. I know we were told 3, so I'm kind of bending the rules a little bit, but it's okay. I got to give an honorable mention to Will Campbell. I thought he had a great game, which you really wanted to see. Obviously, 3rd overall pick, you want him out there impacting the game in a positive way. And the numbers that I saw, 33 pass pro snaps, 1 pressure, right? Like, allowed 1 quarterback pressure, no hits, no hurries, no sacks. That's huge, to be out there, defending Drake and doing it in that way and protecting his quarterback. All right, the needs improvement, like as we say, the NI. Where are you going with these?
Yeah, well, I do want to quickly go back to what you were saying about Will Campbell, because I'll add a gold star onto the honorable mention. I'll
Nice.
put my stake on that one. But Vrabel did say this morning on Will's 1 false start, he said, like, he didn't move. He pointed at the guy, like, they shouldn't have called it. And so I thought, even to the point of, like, if you were going to point out anything, like, Vrabel's back here backing him up. So he really did have an incredible game off of, you could just feel the disappointment coming from him after week 1. So, yeah, another gold star for Will Campbell there. You definitely get in that column for this week. But, yeah, so we'll go on the need improvement side. I got to go just Patriots versus the penalties, and the penalties won in this game. It was just too many, and something I always think of whenever we talk about penalties in New England is, like, New Englanders have always been getting taxed, like, since Paul Revere. Like, they always just can't escape it, Jade, like, whatever it is. But in a close game like that, you really can't afford to have that many consecutive penalties as well. And it wasn't just a rookie problem. I think at one point you could have been like, oh my gosh, you listed all the rookies. You got Woodson, Campbell, Wilson. But really, you had veterans too who were on the penalty side as well. So I think the good thing is that it's a controllable. And Vrabel even talked about it not being as big of a focus and a worry for him, because penalties happen. You've got different crews coming in each week. Everybody calls it differently. You kind of got to know what to expect from the refs. Obviously, he cares about it, and it's something they're going to clean up, hopefully. But it definitely was something that he didn't seem overly concerned about.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the reality is every crew is going to call things a little bit differently, and these teams pay attention to who their crews are, and they're going to give, the coaches are going to give the players any information in terms of how these games might get called based upon the history of an officiating team. But you still, you want to put yourself in a position where the penalties aren't going to beat you. And look, the Patriots were able to do that yesterday, but they would have made their life easier, if they didn't have the 12 penalties for 75 yards that they did have. You want to go out there and play as clean of a football game as you possibly can. And yes, there's probably going to be some, like the call on Will Campbell, that Vrabel's like, come on, like, no, like that I didn't see it that way. And there's always going to be ones like that. But you do want to try to minimize it as best you can. And I think the Patriots can do a better job of that. So penalties overall, top of my list as well. I swear we didn't compare notes here. I swear we didn't. What else you got?
For me, I got to go, and I know it ended on a high note, but I got to just go the kicking, like overall. 2 missed field goals, and then the kick at the end of the game out that was short of the landing zone. It was in Borregales' college stadium. I wonder, mentally, if there was any of that was playing into it. Excited to see him be able to get the game ball and to help his team win the game. But I think that those are just non-negotiables, right? Like, your team just scored a touchdown. Those are non-negotiables. And the good thing is the Patriots were able to overcome it. And you could also see them not overcome it on the scoreboard, but really in how they were treating the situation, right? Everyone saying they had confidence in him during the game, after the game. And I think that's going to show a lot to your locker room. So I think this is a situation where, yes, it seemed like it was disastrous, absolutely disastrous, but the Patriots were able to turn it into something good and hopefully can make a change for the future.
Yeah, lonely life of a kicker. I mean, honestly, like that, like I feel that way every time I watch these guys. It's like so often, the game comes down to, okay, can you take the ball and can you kick it, 53 yards, 60 yards. I mean, we saw some monster kicks this weekend. And when they do it, it's like the whole team's on their back and all fired up. And when they miss it, it's like, so often it's like, it's like watching them warm up, right? They're on the sideline by themselves in their own zone, like just, doing their warm ups. Lonely life of a kicker. It's tough. I mean, and I agree with you. Like this is clearly something that the Patriots are talking about, and they can have all the confidence in him that they want and the belief in him. And, we heard Vrabel say, look, obviously I'm confident in him. He might have missed 2 PATs, but I sent him out there to kick a 53-yarder. That's great. Like, you can have that confidence. You can have that belief. You still have to be having the conversation. Is this the direction we want to continually go? And if it's not, because the way things continue to go, then where are we going, right? Like, you have to have that conversation before you've ever even made that decision. Like all I could think at the beginning of the game after he missed the second one was, a former executive who always would look at me and go, never draft a kicker. They're always better with their second team. Like, that was all I could think of. And I was like, no, like, we don't want to go that way. It's got to improve. You can't be holding your breath, when Andy Borregales is out there to kick, a point after every touchdown. You just can't. All right, we got one more. What's your last NI, need improvement?
My last need improvement, Gonzo, please don't be Gonzo much longer, okay? Like, we need you to come back, and hopefully maybe we'll have a chance, is what Vrabel had said today about it. There's a chance that we'll see him out there. Hopefully that's true, because the Patriots secondary would be my last and third NI. Thankfully, you had a pass rush that was able to help. You're going up against an incredible wide receiver room with Waddle and Hill in the Dolphins, but it's just got to be better, right? Those explosive plays. Yeah. And Vrabel did talk about what their game plan was, right? And how they knew that those plays were going to happen. And sometimes when you're going up against the best players and the best teams, you have to pick and choose what you're going to defend. But I think just looking forward, Gonzo, we're looking forward to you coming back.
Yeah, no question. They need him. I mean, their secondary is different with him out there than it is without him. It's very simple. And at some point, you have to decide, okay, like like Philadelphia and Kansas City did in the Super Bowl. Kansas City was like, we are not going to let Saquon beat us. Okay, well, guess what? We'll find other ways to beat you. Like, that's what the Eagles do. And so you have to make those choices. But come on, like Tua 26 of 32, 315 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, you just don't want to see that. You don't want to see the explosive plays. So I agree. I mean, defensively, yeah, Milton Williams comes up with a big sack at the end of the game, ices it. They did all the things that they needed to do when it came down, right? Like, they came out, they threw the first few punches, they got punched back. And they said, all right, like, we're going to throw the final punch here. And they did, and they delivered on it. But you still want to try to find ways to shore up the areas that need improvement. And clearly the defense and the secondary needed some improvement collectively in a full 60-minute game, like looking at it from that 60-minute perspective.